Manu, could you tell us a little bit about Seeds and its work?
Seeds, started in 1994 in the canteen of a architecture college. It was these fired up souls who wanted to, go out of the mainstream and, make a kind of a qualitative difference in the field. So we started off by looking at how human settlements are impacting the natural environment because we were architects and planners. So that's how it started.
And now?
Now we over the years, we realized that environment is a huge field, and there are various aspects to it. So risk reduction was something which we got exposed to during the 90s because there were a series of natural disasters like the cyclone in Gujarat in 98. There was a huge cyclone in Orissa. So we got involved in the relief work as volunteers. That's when we realized that a lot of people are dying because the knowledge is not there with them, and this is not very highly technical knowledge. It's just about how to make their corners or houses a little more stronger that could protect them in case of a fierce wind or a earth shaking. So we realized that perhaps that's where our mission lies, to bridge that knowledge practice gap. And ever since then, we've been focusing on post-disaster recovery, not large scale, it's a small NGO, but then looking at how the housing recovery takes place in a manner that protects them against future disasters.
So the focus is mostly housing now?
Housing and related areas. So, we realize, for example, special skill sets are required to ensure a particular quality of housing. So then we started building capacity of local artisans, building artisans, and getting into a little bit of that livelihood. We realized what are the threats that happen in which housing gets affected. So looked at the larger climate change, environmental, domain as such. Then going into the way humanitarian organizations can work. Bringing about accountability in our processes, in our approaches.
So what's a day in the life of Manu Gupta like? You spend a lot of time behind the drawing board administrating?
Well, it's been now almost 16, 17 years. So, initially it was a lot of that drawing work and, really cracking ourselves on how best we can provide a low cost, simple to understand, yet implementable housing. But now it's a little bit of that policy work, so it has kind of evolved in that sense that while there are other people in the organization now focusing on the work which we did 10 years ago, we focus more on policy advocacy.
And what policy are you trying to change? I mean, what's India's most weak point at this point?
At the moment, the policy intervention particularly in humanitarian response is very ad hoc, knee-jerk kind of reaction. When it happens, suddenly the governments wake up and depending on the the severity of the disaster, it would come up in the parliament, and so there'll be just a quick, hue and cry and a quick response based on media pressure, if you like. But I think now there has been a Disaster Management Act 2005, which has its own problems in coming about, in being implemented. But also that the government now has set up an authority with the Prime Minister himself heading it. I think there is some serious concern, at least, to look into policy work. So it's really about formulating policy at this stage, and therefore it's a very constructive engagement with governments. And that's where I see a lot of work in the next few years.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.